The primitive data types are the fundamental data types in Java. We have several data types in Java just like Boolean, floating point and integral. Integral, which is a data type that deals with integers, or numbers without a decimal part, and characters. Floating point, which is a data type that deals with decimal numbers. Boolean, which is a data type that deals with logical values. Integral data types are further classified into 5 categories: char, byte, short, int, and long. In Boolean data type, we can have a Boolean, using this keyword to use this data type. This data type can have only 2 values that will hold our identifier. This value can be true or false only. Take note that we can use this data type by declaring the Boolean keyword. This data type is useful when it comes to decision making that can have a true or false values. Using constant and variables. There are 2 types when allocating a memory. There are allocation that cannot change the memory allocation value during program execution. Which means as long as the program is running there is no way to change the value of that allocated memory. For example, the conversion rate for foot to inches is 1 foot is always equal to 12 inches. When this type of memory allocation, the data must be protected from accidental changes during the program execution. In that case we must use a name constant to instruct the program to mark those memory locations in which data is constant throughout the program execution. In Java, static and final are reserved words. The reserved word final specifies that the value stored in the identifier is fixed and cannot be changed. Examples for constant in Java. The first statement tells the compiler to allocate enough memory to store a value of type double, call this memory space centimeters underscore per underscore inch, and store the value 2.54 in it. Throughout a program that uses this statement, whenever the conversion formula is needed, the memory space centimeters underscore per underscore inch can be accessed. The other statements have similar meanings. As noted earlier, the default type of floating point numbers is double. Therefore, if you declare a named constant of type float, then you must specify that the value is of type float as follows. Otherwise, the compiler will generate an error message. Notice that in 15.75f, the letter F at the end specifies that 15.75 is a float value. Recall that the memory size for float values is 4 bytes, for double values, 8 bytes. We will mostly use the type double to work with floating point values. Sometimes we need to change the data from the memory, like counting how many times it was executed, giving an increase to employee's salary, getting the average score of the student. In Java, memory cells whose contents can be modified during program execution are called variables. Variable, a memory location whose content may change during program execution. The syntax for declaring one variable or multiple variables is: Consider the following statements. Assigning value into variables. When assigning value in variables we use the equal symbol. But, before you assign a value to a variable, make sure that you are assigning the right value to that particular variable. Always remember that variables have a data type. Syntax when assigning value to a variable. A variable is said to be initialized the first time a value is placed in the variable. In Java, the equal sign is called the assignment operator. Now consider the following assignment statements. For each statement, the computer evaluates the value on the right first and then stores that value in a memory location name by their identifier on the left. On the other hand, we can declare and initialize a value in one line. This is very handy to save more time when doing some projects. Example of declaring and initializing a variable. String is a class that can contains text. When creating a string variable, it must enclose the text with double quotations. When using char data type, it must enclose the single character with single quotation.